High in the mountains of the Himalayas lurks a creature that some insist exists, but others brush off as mere myth: the Yeti. For centuries, the legends of a tall, upright, man-like creature have been the subject of many debates and mysteries that still persist to this day. The origins of such a creature can be traced as far back as human history itself. Early reports of a creature which matches the description of the Yeti first began to come out of Asia decades before the first Westerners had ever set foot in the region. The Yeti was already part of pre-Buddhist beliefs of Himalayan people. Where it came from originally, however, like the creature itself, is still a mystery. One popular theory suggests that the Yeti may have evolved from the now extinct Gigantopithecus, which lived in the early to middle Pleistocene epoch in the bamboo forests of southern China. In life, it was the largest primate to ever have existed, and a strong contender for the origin of the Yeti, or even Bigfoot in North America. Whilst other cultures that existed around where the Yeti was said to live had been going for a long time already, the fascination of the subject in the Western world didn't begin until the 20th century, when the first Europeans and Americans began to explore the uncharted regions of the Himalayas. It was on one such expedition, during a failed assault on Mount Everest in 1921, that British explorer Colonel Howard Bury happened upon a series of footprints that looked distinctly human-like, high up in a mountain pass. Intrigued by this discovery, he sent a series of photographs of the tracks in a report to the Calcutta newspaper The Statesman, who mistranslated the words Metokingme, meaning man-bear snowman, to Mechkingme, which reads the now iconic term for the creature, Abominable Snowman. In 1951, whilst looking for an alternate route to the summit of Mount Everest, British explorer Eric Shipton came across another footprint, which he took a photo of. This footprint has become synonymous with the Yeti legend ever since. In 1953, a 300-man expedition was mounted in search of the elusive snowman. Unfortunately, however, after several weeks of searching, the expedition came back with only a few photographs of footprints to show for it. In 1957, another expedition, led by Texas millionaire Tom Slick, produced far more than just footprints. His expedition was split up into two separate groups, one looking for the Yeti in the mountains, and the other in the forested valleys below. They soon discovered that it was, in fact, the cloud-shrouded, dense and lush forests below the mountains, and not the high barren passes and peaks themselves, that were where the Yeti was most at home. The ample cover helped conceal an otherwise large and rather obvious animal. From these forests, they were able to obtain hair samples, footprint casts, fecal matter, and discover what appeared to be a crude sleeping nest of the creature. The nest itself closely resembled the nests made by gorillas in Africa, furthering the idea that the Yeti was a higher primate, capable of such ingenuity. But that wasn't it for the Slick expedition. They also discovered a number of other types of physical evidence, most notably at the Pangboche Monastery in the high mountains of Nepal. Multiple Yeti relics and artifacts had been acquired and kept over the years, including a severed hand and Yeti scalp. They were allegedly found by one of the monastery's monks who once travelled to a cave to meditate, where he encountered a Yeti. He then returned years later and found that the Yeti was dead, and retrieved its scalp and one of its hands to take back to Pangboche. Both artifacts were since used for rituals and ceremonies at the monastery. When Tom Slick first heard about reports of a hand and scalp in the monastery in 1957, he was able to get the first photographs of it to the Western world. During later expeditions, Peter Burton, a member of Tom Slick's party in 1959, reportedly stole pieces of the hand from the monastery, after the monks refused to allow its removal. Byrne replaced the missing pieces he took with human bones and rewrapped the relic up to disguise any theft. He successfully smuggled the fragments he stole into India, where the pieces were examined and analysed. Whilst at first the results coming back showed that the hand fragments were hominid in nature, later analysis claimed that they were a closer match to Neanderthals. In 1960, Sir Edmund Hillary, famed for being the first man to climb the summit of Mount Everest, travelled to Pangboche to investigate the hand. Hillary was unaware of the fact that some parts of the original hand had been taken away and replaced by human bones by Byrne the previous year. Ultimately, he decided that the hand was a hoax, and in 1991, after another analysis of its origin, which claimed it to be near-human, the entire hand was stolen from Pangboche and disappeared into private hands. Most scientists dismiss the Yeti as being only folkloric superstition, or attribute the evidence to animals already described to science, such as bears, monkeys or wolves, whilst others asserted that the whole story was a hoax. Whether or not such a creature exists in this world, or ever existed, is up for debate. Aside from all the evidence already discussed, one other piece of data, called the Snowwalker footage, purportedly shows a Yeti on video. The video was released in 1996, and whilst the footage is grainy and blurry, there is clearly some form of upright figure moving through the snow. Whether or not this is an unidentified animal, or just another mountaineer, we may never know. The people who recorded the footage have refused to share their identities publicly, and so the video remains tantalizing yet ambiguous, as with most of the evidence. Unfortunately, since that time, not much else has come of this legend, aside from the occasional footprint or local eyewitness report. The Yeti is one of history's greatest mysteries, spanning across multiple cultures and inspiring many stories, tales, and accounts. While I'm sure that many of you listening to this, like me, would love if such a thing were real, and are desperate to believe in it, the amount of supporting evidence isn't quite substantial enough. As far as science is concerned, the Yeti is just another one of those myths that cryptozoologists love to continue to keep alive, when most other interest in the subject has already waned. Perhaps one day the truth will be revealed to us, proving one way or another if this phenomenon is based on a living, breathing species, or if it's all just a legend. Thank you very much for listening. Please like, comment and subscribe, as this helps a great deal. Let me know what you thought about this video and if you'd like to see more of this type of content in the future.